Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you had a great week. We're digging out of the snow that was advertised as a blizzard. Not so bad. I hope you're all safe and warm, especially those who escaped to Florida. This is supposed to be a very cold weekend across much of the United States, so stay warm. Today is December 23rd, 2022, and this is your Friday planning video. For many of you, happy Hanukkah. Hope your Hanukkah is going well, and for those of you who celebrate this weekend, Merry Christmas. Today is the second to last Friday of the year and the second to last Friday video. So next week, I'll move on to New Year's plannings. Today, I want to hit a few important updates and some very last-minute checklist items. So first of all, for the student loan forgiveness, I think I mentioned it last week, we'll have to wait to hear from the Supreme Court. Last I heard, they were planning on hearing the cases in February. Speculation is all over, but most of what I see is that it will be ruled unconstitutional and thus thrown out. If you've applied or if you were planning on applying, please do not count on that. Let's talk about planning for the court ruling against, and if they rule for it, then it'll be a pleasant surprise. As before, be careful with any action you do take with your loans. Please don't do anything that will disqualify your loan if, in fact, the forgiveness is upheld. So more on that to come in a few months. Let's get this out of the way before I even mention a word of it. Or the word. I don't give personal tax advice without working with your tax advisors. I've had many meetings and calls with tax advisors this year, and I'm sure that there are more to come. Please connect us so that we can work together to help you achieve the best tax outcome for your situation. Let's talk about, Secure Act 2.0. I've been telling you about this almost since the first Secure Act passed. The latest from Washington is yesterday, the $1.7 trillion spending bill was passed by the Senate, including the landmark retirement package. It will now head to the House, and then, like the bill in Schoolhouse Rock, please look that up if you're not familiar with it. I'm just a bill from Schoolhouse Rock. If it passes there, it'll go to the president to become law. What does that mean? There's a lot to go over, and if it does become law, I will devote a special video just to that update. But for now, two of the key provisions include making 401k and 403b retirement plans better for all employees, especially the treatment of new employees. The other main item is the changes to required minimum distribution ages. Secure Act 1 in 2019 changed it from 70 and a half to 72. Secure Act 2.0 would further increase this to 73 in 2023 and 75 in 2033. The bill must pass the House by tonight in order to avoid a government shutdown. As always, nothing like waiting until the last minute. Always happens. Speaking of RMDs, as we've been talking about for months, as I try to bring you tales from the front lines, conversations I've had with clients in the past few weeks, RMDs are not difficult, but they are one of the most heavily penalized items if you don't take them. If you have not taken them, or if you're not sure, please call us. Call Tuesday. Markets and offices are closed on Monday, but please be in touch. Remember last week's conversation about taking RMDs in kind, and let's be sure to discuss these options. In addition to the importance of taking this, I will add that in an amazing meeting I had this week, I had a great discussion about the planning behind taking the money out of IRAs during your lifetime. You've heard me speak about the tax time bomb that was exacerbated by the Secure Act, removing the stretch IRA. There are planning ideas that we should discuss about who will pay the taxes and when we'll pay, to pay those taxes on some of these assets. Suffice it to say, as tax laws have changed, and reminder, this is what we work with your tax advisor on, there are some tax techniques that we should discuss. The ideas that have existed since IRA accounts came into being in 1974, they are changing. New solutions are being developed and discussed. Please engage with your tax advisor and myself on this. What is left to do in the last week of the year? Yes, as I said, next week we'll talk about 2023 planning, so let's stick to the last minute 2022 actions. First, as I just mentioned, please make sure your RMDs have been taken. I've said enough about that for this year. Next, as we've discussed, tax loss harvesting is something we can do up until the last trading day of the year. Tales from the front lines, if you sell by the close of the market on next Friday, December 30, you can recognize that gain or loss in 2022. Please don't wait that long, but you can do that. Just a quick review of capital loss harvesting plan. We discussed it last week, the way to offset the feeling that you don't want to sell stocks at these levels. So go back to last week's video for that. If you want to recognize the loss, remember that once you sell the stock, be careful not to get overly excited about a turn in the stock and buy it back before 30 days have passed. Remember two things. One is that you can purchase something that may act like the stock or the holding, but the definition of a substantially identical security is important. This also counts if you sell it in one account and buy it in another account, so please be careful. What about recognizing a gain? No wash sale rule applies on that. I want to tell you quickly about how this can be used. Again, consult your tax advisor to get the confirmation of any action you want to take on this. If you have a position that you like and you have a gain in it, let's call it a $10,000 gain, but you like the stock, And on the other side, you have a stock that you don't like so much, and that one has a $10,000 loss in it. No wonder you don't like it so much. But seriously, if you take the loss and the gain, and you have offsetting taxable events, one gain of $10,000, one loss of $10,000. Once that's happened, since you want to own that gain stock again, just buy it back again. It does not create a wash sale, but what it did was reset your cost basis on that stock. In the future, when you sell it, you have locked in that gain, and you've managed to do so without adding a tax liability. When you sell it later, that $10,000 that you offset with the loss will not be counted as tax again. So call me for more details of this or on how this situation may work. If you don't have realized gains this year, and unfortunately many investors do not, you are still able to use up to $3,000 of losses to offset your income for income tax purposes. So just be clear, if you have $100,000 in income, you have $10,000 in realized losses, but no gains, you can use your $3,000 to offset income, pay income taxes on $97,000, and carry forward the remaining $7,000 in losses into future years. I'm sorry to dig into that too much. I hope it made sense. Again, we can do all this. We can do this all of next week, so let's review if it makes sense for you. Before we end today, I want to touch on one thing, absolutes. In conversations all year, and especially as the year coming to a close, you heard a lot about and read a lot about what is an absolute must in your plan. This can be that you must have 6 months worth of expenses in cash, or that you must have whole life insurance, or even that you must have certain dollar amounts or asset allocation based on your age. These absolutes drive me crazy. I'll remind you that what you know. Almost every investment plan has its own facts about it. And like snowflakes, appropriate for use today, they are almost all unique. Please be careful to take advice from a passing radio program, newsletter, or even a TV show, and certainly not from YouTube videos from someone you don't know. The key to this is that while the advice they may be the best advice today, they will not call you when they change those plans. This was pointed out even today on CNBC when a noted hedge fund manager made comments. One of the guests later in the day rightly pointed out that he could change his mind tomorrow and he's under no obligation to let anyone know. This is the danger of commercial advice. As always, the plans we make together are dynamic, and as your conditions change and overall economic conditions change, there may be planning changes that need to happen. That's why we meet and discuss so often. For now, let's wrap up the year with a commitment to work with each other to identify your plans, implement your plans, make necessary adjustments to your plans, and measure the outcomes of your plans. I look forward to one more week of 2022, and I think we can all agree we're hoping for a better 2023. Enjoy the holidays, stay warm and safe, come back Tuesday for the market update, and have a great weekend.